All right, it says we live. Shalom out there. Shalom.
Shalom, shalom.
Check the feed real quick. All right, we live. Hey, Shalom. GMS Charlotte back at you with another live lesson through the Holy Spirit of the Rekakwadash. And before we get started, we want to give all the praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rekakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught us his truth. Shalom to the hopeful elect. We're back with another quick lesson through the Holy Spirit, the Rekakwadash. This lesson we want to get into here is linking Hellenization with surgical body enhancements today, which is all part of the Greco-Roman influence. So we're going to tie it all together. Got some good points from the chat GPT. Man, it's heavy, man, because hey, the parallels are solid, man. Okay, right. You had the Hellenization from back then. Today you have Westernization. All right, and that same influence of the Greco-Roman Empire is still upon our people today, which all goes back to the Edomites, man. And in this lesson, you'll see how pretty much the Edomite influence still dominates the perspective and mindset of our people to this very day. All right, and Prince, if you want to add anything in before we read, you can.
Let's open up with that. Ecclesiastes 1:9.
Yep, I got it. Let me pull it up. All right. This is Ecclesiastes 1:9, and it reads, it says that the thing that have been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. You got it, priest.
Right. And this is why, they say history repeats itself. So everything that we see Israel doing in today's time, all right, they were doing back then during the Greco-Roman period, man, when Esau came into rule and overtook our people. The same things that we see going on today, as we're going to show, this showing you that we're in Rome all over again, man. The Edomites, all right, yes, have corrupted and polluted Israel all over again, man. All right, so just Yahweh Shemi Awashah, showing the elect more and more of, number one, who Esau Edom is, which shows you this has to be the so-called white man. All right, and then two, what happens when we, turn away from our power? All right, it happened back then, and it's happening all over again, man. You know?
There you go. So let's jump into the read here, man. All right. So this is from the. Would you say, Bruce?
I'll read it for you.
Okay, you got it, brother.
So this is says the JewishHistory.org. It says the Hell and Hellenization. Greek culture slowly infiltrated Jewish culture, threatening to destroy the Jewish people in many ways tyrants could not do through brute force. It says after the death of Alexander the Great, the Greek Empire in the Mediterranean basin divided into two main sections. The Northern Empire, which included Syria, Turkey, which was then Asia Minor, and Greece itself, was under the domination or under the dominion or the domination of a general called Seleucus, and therefore called the Seleucid Empire. The Southern Empire, which was basically Egypt and Africa, was under the dominion of a general called Ptolemy. It says these kingdoms would rule the Mediterranean world until Rome.
Yeah. So what this is the third beast. All right, the Greek Empire. Okay, and then we'll get the scriptures in the Maccabees in a minute, but let's keep reading.
Yep. Sandwiched between them was the land of Israel. When the two empires were at peace with each other, there was a lot of trade to be had. However, when there was war, it was a very dangerous place to be. For various reasons, the Jews favored the Southern Empire, the Ptolemaic. They had a fascination with Egypt, which we wonder why. It says they had a fascination with Egypt since their original sojourn there, and their large Jewish community in Alexandria also provided a kinship with them.
And during that time as well, of Ptolemy, this is where you had the Serapis cult. That's where that was developed from. This is where you get the Jesus Christ, all right, character, all right, Serapis Christos. This is where it was all created when the Greeks came down there and took over Egypt. All right, they merged the Greek idols with the Egyptian idols, and this is what we have today. You got it.
If I'm not mistaken, by this time, Northern Kingdom was already separated, right?
Yes, I'm going to say they were always separated. Yes.
So it will make sense why you see a lot of, the Southern Kingdom, holding on tight to that Jesus.
Fine. Let's read a little bit more. We'll get to the point in a minute. We're just reading the information from the this article here, but let's read some more.
It says the grandeur of Jewish Alexandria. At its height, Alexandria was the wealthiest, most powerful, most influential, and most sophisticated Jewish community. The Talmud describes a synagogue of immense proportions to that the community built. Jewish artisans of Alexandria each had their own section in the synagogue. The goldsmith sat in one section, the silversmith.
Salakia, I made it bigger. Go ahead.
It says the silversmith in another, and the carpenter in the third. If you go down a little bit, Baba Shah.
Yep.
It says Josephus writes that the synagogue was like an amphitheater. It had 8,000 to 10,000 seats. It was so large that people in one part could not hear the service taking place in the same room in another part. So in order to answer amen, they raised flags and waved. And even more magnificent was a replica of the destroyed temple in the heart of Alexandria, complete with priests and the whole ritual of sacrifices, all in accordance with Jewish law. What is strange is that Torah law forbade building the temple anywhere but Jerusalem.
Let's jump down. Let's go ahead and jump down to the point. All right. I'm going to get to the point here. Bear with me. All right. So, yeah, the Hellenists. So go ahead and read that and we'll make the points.
Yep. So it says the Hellenists, about the year 200 BCE, there arose among the Jewish population a group called how you say that word?
Misyabnim.
Misyabnim, meaning Hellenists, who adopted Greek culture as a way of life to such a degree that almost invariably they gave up their Jewish culture and identity.
Yeah, so this is a key part of history here that you have to understand. All right, so you got to understand at the time when before Yahushua came on the scene, all right, Jake was heavily doused in this Greek culture, all right, to the point where when Yahushua came on the scene, Jake was already way too far gone. All right, they had fully adopted themselves into this Greek way of life, which we're going to read here. You got it, bro.
For instance, the Greeks were great believers in nudity. Their sports were done in the nude. Their bathhouses were attended in the nude. In the ancient world, the Jews and some Arabs were the only people who were circumcised. Thus, if you wanted to be a good Greek, you were embarrassed to go to the bathhouse or participate in sports. Consequently, Hellenized Jews underwent painful operations at a time with minimal anesthetics to restore their foreskin and appear Greek.
Man, so I remember the Dallas brothers bringing this out some years back, but you got to understand like how crazy that had to be, man, where Jake was actually putting foreskin back on his rod. All right. That's how far Jake was going to be, accepted and to blend in with the so-called, Grecian people. All right. These Hellenized Jews are also known as the Greeks in the scriptures, man. Okay. This would see, matter of fact, let's read that on how Jake became Gentiles. Let's read that before we read on some more. Let's go to okay. This is part of the history of how our people became Hellenized. They became Gentiles, man. All right. Let's read this, priest. So you read that for me?
Yep. This is Isaiah chapter 5, verse 1. Now will I sing to my beloved song. I'll sing to my beloved a song of my beloved touching his vineyard. My well-beloved hath a vineyard in a very fruitful hill.
Right. And Israel is that vineyard. Go ahead.
Yep. And he fenced it and gathered out the stones thereof and planted it with the choicest vine.
Yeah, the choicest vine, going back to the stock of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, man. All right. And it says he fenced it, meaning the Lord gave us the righteous way. Okay, the law, statute, commandments. Go ahead.
And built a tower in the midst of it, and also made a winepress therein. And he looked that it should bring forth grapes, and it brought forth wild grapes.
Yeah, wild grapes. Right now, let me pull this word up, man. For wild grapes. Okay. This word for wild grapes here. It says it says stinking or worthless things, wild grape stink berries. All right. So again, Jake falling away from his heritage.
Yep.
Okay. Becoming those wild grapes. Okay. The wild olive tree, right? You got it, bro.
Verse 3, it says, "And now, all inhabitants of Jerusalem and men of Judah, judge, I pray you, betwixt me and my vineyard. What could have been done more to my vineyard that I have not done in it? Wherefore, when I looked that it should bring forth grapes, brought it forth wild grapes.
Keep going.
And now go to, and I will tell you what I will do to my vineyard. I will take away the hedge thereof."
The Lord took away the hedge. All right. He took away the protection. Okay. Keep going.
"And it shall be eaten up, and break down the wall thereof, and it shall be trodden down."
Yeah, it should be eaten up, meaning the Lord put the curses upon us, man. All right. He put hell upon us. We were taken down by the nations. All right. We were scattered. We were discontinued from our heritage.
Yep.
We fell away. Keep going.
Yeah, I actually had that real quick.
Yeah, you got it.
This is Jeremiah chapter 17 and 4. "And thou even thyself shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever." Just adding to what the elder just said, because when Yahweh Shemel Shah took away that hedge, that allowed the heathen to come down upon us. Like when you read about that in Judas the 5th chapter, I think around like the 17th to 19th verse. All right, the heathen understood that when Israel was right with Yahweh Shemel Shah, that we were untouchable. But the moment that we were sinning against our power, they understood that that was their chance to take us down.
Yep, exactly. Let's go back. We'll read down to verse 6, and that'll be it. And we'll go back to the read.
Yep.
Read verse 5 again for me, Baba Kusha.
God. Isaiah 5 and 5. "And now go to, I will tell you what I will do to my vineyard. I will take away the hedge thereof, and it shall be eaten up, and break down the wall thereof, and it shall be trodden down."
Yeah, so again, we were conquered. We were put into slavery. All right.
Yep.
We were scattered. We were separated. All right. We were basically separated from our heritage. Go ahead.
"And I will lay it waste. It shall not be pruned nor digged, but there shall come up briars and thorns. I will also command the clouds that they rain no more upon it." Or
right. So again,
they will rain no rain upon it.
So going into the point that we're making here is that this is when we became Gentiles, man.
Yep.
Okay. It said that he said, "I will lay it waste, and it should not be pruned," meaning cultivated. Right. We became wild, as we read, the wild grapes. Okay, the wild olive tree. Right. We became like heathens, Gentiles. You see, so this is part of that, man. Us being discontinued from our heritage, as we read in Jeremiah 17 and 4. Right. So let's go back to the read here. Okay, you got it, priest.
Yep. So I'll read that part back again. It says, Hellenized Jews underwent painful operations at a time with minimal anesthetics to restore their foreskin and appear Greek.
Right. So before we read on, just kind of making the examples, right? It's the same thing that's going on now. All right. Jake is going through these different types of operations, right? I'm just going to pull a quick picture up, right? But you got, today, what is Jake doing? Body enhancements, BBLs, fake abs,
fake hairlines,
yeah, all of that, blonde hair,
extension surgery.
This is all part of that. That same spirit, that same Greco-Roman influence, man. All right, let's go back.
Yeah, bro, they got men getting BBLs, bro. Like that's how bad this is, bro. Niggas getting surgery on their knees to make themselves 6 feet tall and shit. Like it's bad.
It's bad.
It says, for instance, the Greeks were great believers in. Oh, read the part. Imported along the Greek language, customs, and sports were Greek idols and modes of worship. Temples to the Greek gods and statues of Zeus littered the countryside. Each Greek home had its own set of idols, a patron god custom made for the family, as well as a set of sacrificial rites. Worst of all, Greek strongholds embraced all the terrible moral looseness of the Greek world.
Yeah, because you got to understand how terrible it was for Jake, man. Jake was fully submerged in the Greek, way of fashion, the Greek ideology, the mindset, the culture, man. All
Right.
right, our people were far gone, you know.
Yeah, because if you look into some of the stuff that Esau was doing back then, they were having sex in the open. Like how you see like corn and all that. That they had that back then, man.
Yep.
They had people just drinking till they was belligerent, fighting each other, killing each other. Like it was all type of wild shit going on. But and Jake wanted to fit in, and so they were taking part in that. That's why it was going into the gods. Jake was worshiping all different type of gods, man.
Yep.
Trying to be accepted by the Edomites. I got a quick precept though, if I can.
You got it.
This is Jeremiah chapter 2, verse 33. It says, "Why trimmest thou way to seek love? Therefore hast thou also taught the wicked one thy ways." Because as we're reading, Jake was doing all type of shit to try to seek acceptance. The fact that they, will walk around naked, they had the surgery to put their foreskin back on. Jake was wearing the togas and all that back then.
Yep.
Branding themselves. It was all type of things that Jake was doing to debase themselves to try to appeal themselves to Esau to be accepted, man. So it shows you the extent of where our people were because there was lacking that connection to Yahweh Shem Shah, man.
Exactly. What do we see today? Jake bleaching his hair, bleaching his skin.
Mm-hmm.
This whole gothic, emo type of look that Jake is rocking now. All right, it's the same thing. The parallels are there. All of what to be accepted. Like we're reading the Hellenization. Today we have Westernization. Same thing, which the Chat GPT is going to get into in a minute, right?
Because if I can add to that too, because you speak about the old way versus the modern day way. Now, when you look up that word modern, it goes into to do away with the old, or to be opposed to the past. So we had our old ancient ways, which is they said the Torah, the Tanakh, and then you have this modern day. Because even when you go into the Greco-Roman time, those were considered the modern times of then. Just
Right.
like Westernization is the modern times of today. So it was all Hellenization to get us to forget our ancient ways.
Yep.
So because we know Esau is opposed to righteousness. So everything that he was doing was to turn our people from the Lord and make them follow him.
That's it. We'll read a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. It says, each Greek home had its own set of idols, a patron god custom made for the family, as well as whole sets of sacrificial rites. And you see this in Jake's houses now. Jake got the altars,
yep,
the rosary beads, the candles, different things like that.
Mm-hmm.
It says worst
Greek
of all,
sculptures.
Yeah, the pictures.
Yep.
Yeah, you see Jake with the Buddha. Jake don't worship Buddha, but he be having the Buddha doll, the elephants, the little Sanskrit, statues, all type of. When you go to the store, you be buying stuff to decorate your house, not even realizing that is idolatry, man.
Huh.
It says, worst of all, Greek strongholds embrace all the terrible moral looseness of the Greek world. As time passed, more and more Jews not only spoke like Greeks, but took on their customs, attitudes, and behaviors, which on so many levels was how do you say that word again? Theatrical.
Yeah, theatrical, anti-theatrical.
To the values of Judaism. Estimates are that 30 to 40% of the Jewish population became Hellenist. Most of the upper class was simply swept away by its tide of Hellenist thought.
Yeah, so a lot of our people bought into the Hellenization, because remember, this was by force. All right, when you read that in the Maccabees, man, Jake was being put to death for keeping the customs, for keeping the laws. All right, so a lot of our people, pretty much, sold out, if you will, right?
Right.
And we'll finish that last paragraph.
Mm-hmm. Some were no doubt simply ignorant of the Jewish life and tradition. Others, however, became visual self-haters. The Greeks found many willing collaborators among the Jews in their attempts to eradicate Judaism and install the more enlightened pagan culture of theirs in Israel.
Man, read that again.
Yeah. Greeks found many willing collaborators among the Jews in their attempt to eradicate Judaism and install the more enlightened pagan culture of theirs in Israel. Hey, and that's what you see what these celebrities are used for. These athletes, all Jake influence is all to do just this in today's time.
Yep.
It says these Hellenist Jews hated their brethren and openly sided with the enemies of Israel who attempted to destroy the Jewish nation and faith.
Mm-hmm.
They hated themselves for being Jewish and resorted to things like painful cosmetic surgery, not only to blend and better with the Greeks, but as a sign of defiance in their attempt to remove any trace of being Jewish from their bodies.
Man.
Naturally, the victory of the Maccabees over the Greek, which we will discuss next, was a great disappointment to them.
There you go, man.
That's
heavy.
Man.
So look at the parallels now. I want to pull this up in the chat GPT. All right. Because that's the point of this lesson here. This is like we read here, the Hell and Hellenism, man. Right? So let's go to the chat GPT. So what happened? So this pretty much is what inspired the lesson here, right? Let's pull that up. So I'll read this, right? So I had put it in the chat GPT, linking Hellenization with surgeries and body enhancements today. And this is what we got. So it says, linking Hellenization with modern surgeries and body enhancements can be done by examining both as a cultural processes tied to, how you say that word out? Aesthetic ideals, conformity, and identity transformation. Here's a breakdown of how you might develop this connection. So it says culture conformity through the body. Hellenization, especially after Alexander the Great, involved non-Greek peoples, all right? This is going into the Israelites.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, those Hellenized Jews, right? The Gentiles. It says involved non-Greek peoples adopting Greek language, customs, education, art, and body ideals, often to gain acceptance, status, or survival in a Greek-dominated society. Today, surgeries and body enhancements often reflect societal pressure to conform to Western beauty standards, which are also Greco-Roman in origin. See? E.g., symmetry, proportion, and athleticism, right? So all of this, again, all of this is tied back to the mind of Esau, man.
Yep.
Okay, when it talks about westernized beauty standards, it's the beauty standards according to the Edomite, man. Mm-hmm. This is why you see niggas walking around bugged out, bleaching their skin, blonde hair, colored hair, and shit, man. Mm-hmm. Okay, body piercings all in the face, tattoos. Okay, that all goes back to Esau, the Greco-Roman influence, man. Okay, it says Hellenistic body ideals and sculpture perfection. Hellenistic aesthetics idolize perfect human forms, symmetrical faces, chiseled bodies, balanced proportions. Today's cosmetic trends, nose reshaping, lip fillers, body contouring, facial symmetry correction, often reflect these same ideals. See?
Yeah. Because when you go into what the Greeks were doing back then, there was self-worship. So they were be in the gym trying to get those perfect bodies so they could be because you see like they would do the paintings of the people and all that. So there was it was a lot of self-glorification and self-worship. So it's that perfectionism where they seeking. Well, I look wrong here, so we get the nose, the face done, whatever. So it was to try to make themselves into an idol.
Yeah. Matter of fact, just to point it out, we're not going to read it, but just giving examples of the articles we have here, right? It's time to destigmatize plastic surgery in the Black community, all right? And you see a lot of Jake women going under the knife, all right? BBLs, face enhancement, Botox, fillers, yeah, all of that shit, man. This is all Greco-Roman influence, man. Whether you believe it or not, right?
Yeah, you got women because really, I mean, this all starts with Kim Kardashian. She was the main one that brought in the black people to get the surgeries, but then it took off for like women like what's the chick name Bernice Burgos and other ones because like a lot of these women fitness influencers, they all got surgery, man.
Yep.
So it's all just on that same tip.
Exactly. I just want to read this part of the headline here. It says plastic surgery hasn't always welcomed black folks. It's time for a shakeup.
Mm-hmm.
It says plastic surgery defined in sculpted perfection. Right? Did we not just read that?
Right.
Plastic surgery has defined and sculpted perfection, quote unquote, through a Eurocentric lens for too long. Now, with more black patients seeking cosmetic procedures, surgeons are finally wielding their scalpels differently and honoring a greater range of beauty. See that?
And if I could speak on that, that's saying that because when you look back then when this first became a trend, it was Edomites getting this plastic surgery. It looked like Jake. And our people have become so, debased, they've devolved to the point to where they're getting plastic surgery. It look like Esau.
Exactly.
And that's why you see, our people making themselves look crazy. Like we had Lil Kim as the thumbnail. She's an example of that, man.
Yep.
And a lot of these Jakes, they be pretty when they, young, like Tiny, from Escape, T.I.'s wife. She was actually somewhat decent back then, but she got all that surgery. Now she looks like Miss Piggy from Muppets, man. But it's that self-hatred that throughout the time of being told that you ain't shit, you a whatever animal, monkey or whatnot. Our people, they use this as a means to cope when this was Esau's doing, man.
Right. Crazy, man. I got a scripture real quick. This is Proverbs 12:26. It says, the righteous is more excellent than his neighbor, but the way of the wicked seduces them. Right. And this is what happened to our people, man. They have fully subscribed to the way of the serpent, to these Edomites, man. Okay. They you want to be like Mike, they want to be like Edomites, man. And that's how Jake is, man. Jake has been fully seduced by the mindset of Esau, man. Okay, this is what we're showing here with the parallels from then and now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's go back. I'll read on. It says today's cosmetic surgery trends: nose reshaping, lip fillers, body contouring, facial symmetry correction often reflect these same ideals. Think of it as a continuation of the, quote, classic body. Modern plastic surgery becomes a sculptor's tool to meet a cultural image, much like ancient statues represented an idealized human. Okay? Quote, to support Plato, the beauty of the body is a reflection of inner order. Today, this logic is inverted. The altered body is often used to construct a desired identity. See? Number 2, it says culture, pressure, and assimilation. It says just as Hellenization meant non-Greek peoples, all right, these are Israelites, to look Greek, quote unquote, in behavior and values to rise socially or politically. Prime example, right? Let's pull that up as we just had here. All right. All of this. You can speak, priest.
Yeah, because what a lot of our people, when they join these fraternities and sororities, they join it with the means of getting a leg up in society. Because what you find out is these the Divine Nine, they're lower level Masons, and so majority of the time they want to keep going up in society. They'll join the frat, and then once they graduate college, then they'll end up becoming Masons. This is why you see, guys like, Shaquille O'Neal, Ricky Smiley, Jordan, and different other people, they'll occasionally throw up the little sign to let, whatever frat they're a part of, like, Shaq is a part of Q. He'll throw the little horns up to show his allegiance to that frat. But you have people that'll do that to assimilate themselves further into this westernization culture because they know that's what's going to take for them to get a leg up in society. Because these people that join these things, they get a little bit more help than the average person.
Exactly. Yeah, them boule niggas.
Yeah.
It says, reading on, it says, today many people feel pressure to look Western. Check that out. Today, many people feel pressure to look Western, e.g., eyelid surgeries in East Asia. All right, there's a lot of Moabites and Ammonites, especially the women. All right, to get rid of those chinky eyes, they'll have those surgeries to look like, I guess you would say, Edomite eyes or regular eyes. I don't know, you know what I'm saying? But it's all to fit that. It's all to fit that, that Edomite look.
Yeah.
It says eyelid surgeries in East Asia, skin lightening in Africa and South Asia, Brazilian butt lifts, globalized pop culture. You see that?
Yeah. Was the skin lightening, you also see that heavy in like the I'm not Dominican Republic, Jamaica, Trinidad, a lot of Benjamites and Levites, they do that shit too. And like we made mention about the BBLs. The BBLs really started with Kim Kardashian, because you never really saw many do that, and then it went from her to like Nicki Minaj, and then it just kind of blew up from there.
It says body modification becomes a form of cultural assimilation, a way to be accepted, admired, or validated within dominant systems.
Yep.
See, this is why people do this, right? It says 3, philosophy of self, surface versus essence. Ancient Greeks emphasized kalokathia, a unity of beauty and virtue. Today, body enhancements often claim to be expressions of inner identity, e.g., this surgery helps me become who I really am.
Yeah, because it goes back to what we read earlier, that quote of Plato. It said that the body is a reflection of the was it inner mind or something like that?
Yep, body is the reflection of inner order.
Inner order, right? And then just to show that Jake that was doing that, and Jake that's doing that today, they lack that peace, from Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah, that spiritual connection. Real quick.
Yep.
Damn. What I said in Proverbs is, as a man thinketh.
Let me find it. Bear with me 1 second.
I got it right here.
Got it.
Proverbs 23:7. It says, "For as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Eat and drink, saith he to thee, but his heart is not with thee." So, kind of going back to what you read earlier, our people, when they fell away from Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah, all right, they, like I said, they lack that that missing piece inside of them. So being under Esau's constantly down to you, talking shit. Jake try to find ways to make him or her feel accepted by Esau. So this is why they do this shit right here. But if you were one with Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah, you would know, like it says in I forgot where it says in Psalms, where it says we were fearfully and wonderfully made. Because if you know Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah, you understand that the Lord made everybody perfect. You don't need any type of enhancements, man.
Right.
You don't need surgery. The Lord made you perfect, man. Whatever so-called imperfection that you have that you feel guilty about, the Lord gave you that as a sign of uniqueness. It was for a reason.
Yeah, and what's heavy too, it's a great abundance of these cosmetic enhancements and surgeries and BBLs and all these lip fillers, all this shit. It shows you how far society has fallen too, man. All right, there's a lot of people that's indulged in this shit, man. Let's go back.
Because like I said earlier, it goes back to self-worship and idolatry.
Yep.
Because while you were doing that, I looked up some stuff on ChatGPT too. We'll get into it whenever spirit permit. But it goes back to idols that was worshipped back in Greek during that time.
Heavy. We're almost there, and we'll get more scriptures as well. But we just want to read all this because this is some heavy stuff here. But it says, link both ancient and modern societies use the body as a visible expression in inner truth or virtue. 4, power, colonization, and aesthetic control. Hellenization was a form of soft, how you say the word colonialism. Changing people by changing their culture. This is what happened to Israel. You got it? Go ahead.
Micah 2:2. Oh, I started one. It says, "Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hand." The point. "And they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage." And this is what had happened to Israel, because as we read earlier, the history, Israel was pretty much stuck in the middle. So when these Edomites would pretty much go to war amongst each other, Jacob get caught in the middle, because one like when you read the Maccabees, one side would recruit Jake to go help them fight against the other side. They'd be at peace for a little bit, then some shit happened, they end up warring. But Israel always got caught up in the middle. So it got to the point to where, like we read about in the first chapter of First Maccabees, Antiochus Epiphanes, who was a part of the Seleucid Empire, made it to where like everybody just going to be like them. All right,
Yeah.
he took away that that individualism, man.
Yeah, we'll read that next after we finish this. Right. Back in the read. It says, "Today, aesthetic globalization works similarly. Beauty standards are exported, often rooted in Eurocentric ideals, all right, Edomite ideals, shaping what is seen as attractive, successful, and worthy." Right. That's the Edomite influence over the earth, man.
That's right.
Okay. It's the Edomite way of mind, shaping what is seen as attractive, successful, or worthy. Right. Surgeries in this sense are like tools of colonized identity, people editing themselves to fit the mold of a dominant image. See? And then the last part here, the comparison. All right, the summary and analogy. It says ancient world Hellenization, modern world Westernization, sculpted statues, cosmetic surgery, Greek ideal body, Instagram body, cultural assimilation, global beauty conformity, colonial aesthetics, social media filters, insurgents. You see that? Parallels is heavy, right? But again, it's all tied back to what? That Greco-Roman influence that still dominates the earth today, right? So let's read that first Maccabees. We'll go straight to the point here. All right, as we were reading in the earlier in the hell and Hellenism, all right? Because Jake was forced to take on the customs and culture of the Greeks, right? Let's go straight to the point. Let's go to First Maccabees and let's jump down to verse 7 and read down. So this is First Maccabees 4. And you read for me out? Start at 7.
This is First Maccabees chapter 1 and 7. "So Alexander reigned 12 years and then died, and his servants bare rule every one in his place. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth."
Right. You had the 4 generals. All right. You had Cassander, Lasamachus, Ptolemy, and Seleucid. All right. Go ahead.
And as it said in the article, the 2 main ones out of those that came, that were the most prominent was the Seleucids and the Ptolemaic Empire.
Yep. Exactly.
They eventually, end up fighting against each other, and those were the 2 like the major ones that were left standing.
God, let me go back. You got that.
Yep. So it says, "And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth. And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, a son of Antiochus the king, who had been an hostage at Rome, and he reigned in the 130 and 70 year of the kingdom of the Greeks. And in those days went there out of Israel wicked men, who persuaded many, saying, Let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that were round about us. But we departed from them. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow."
All right. So as we read, you had the sellouts. All right. Let's make a covenant with the heathen. Let's take on the ways of the Greeks, the Grecians. Go ahead.
Yeah, if I can add, the most notable one that comes to mind was Jason. When you
Yep.
look up, the history with him, all right, he pretty much got his way into the high priest role through bribery, and he was a wicked Jake, man. And so he's the one that helped like introduce the whole thing of like wearing hats, like you see, the whole thing with Sakari, how they want to teach with hats on. Well, that goes all the way back to Greece with Jason, man. So it says, so this devil pleased them well. Then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen.
Yeah, so they took on the Greek culture.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem, according to the custom of the heathen.
Right, and that word for that word is in the Greek is gymnos, which
Mm-hmm.
means to train naked. All right, as we read in the article, Hell and Hellenism. All right, it talked about that. Just to kind of just briefly read it again. Bear with me. Right. It said that it said for instance, the Greeks were great believers in nudity. Their sports were done in the nude. Their bathhouses were attended in the nude. In the ancient world, the Jews and some Arabs were the only ones who were circumcised. You see that? So that was heavily a part of that Greek culture, man. All right. You got it, Akia.
Con. It says, whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the custom of the heathen, and made themselves uncircumcised, and forsook the holy covenant, and joined themselves to the heathen, and were sold to do mischief.
Man, Jake was into all types of shit. Like you said, it's open sex, homosexuality, pedophilia. All right. Jake was fully involved in the culture of the Greeks.
Mm-hmm.
You got it out. Bestiality, all of that, man.
Yeah. It said, verse 16, now when the kingdom was established before Antiochus, he thought to reign over Egypt, that he might have the dominion of two realms. And this is the beginning of the Ptolemaic and Seleucid empire fighting against each other.
Yep.
Wherefore he entered into Egypt with a great multitude, with chariots and elephants and horsemen and a great navy, and made war against Ptolemy, king of Egypt. But Ptolemy was afraid of him and fled, and many were wounded to death. Thus they got the strong cities in the land of Egypt, and he took the spoils thereof. And after that Antiochus had smitten Egypt, he returned again in the 143rd year, and went up against Israel and Jerusalem with a great multitude, and entered proudly into the sanctuary, and took away the golden altar, and the candlestick of light, and all the vessels thereof, and the table of the showbread, and the pouring vessels, and the vials, and the censers of gold, and the veil, and the crown, and the golden ornaments that were before the temple, all which he pulled off.
Yeah, so we're reading how Antiochus destroyed Jerusalem.
Yep.
Go ahead.
And when he had taken all away, he went. Oh, so I got to skip one. Verse 23 again. He took also the silver and the gold and the precious vessels. Also, he took the hidden treasures which he found. And when he had taken all away, he went into his own land, having made a great massacre, and spoke very proudly. Therefore, there was a great mourning in Israel in every place where they were, so that the princes and elders mourned, the virgins and young men were made feeble, and the beauty of women was changed. Every bridegroom took up lamentation, and she that sat in the marriage chamber was in heaviness. The land also was moved for the inhabitants thereof, and all the house of Jacob was covered with confusion. And after 2 years fully expired, the king set his counselor or his chief collector of tribute unto the cities of Judah, who came unto Jerusalem with a great multitude, and spake peaceable words unto them, but all was deceit. For when they had given him credence, he fell suddenly upon the city, and smote it very sore, and destroyed much people in Israel, just like a fucking Edomite.
Yep.
And when he had taken the spoils of the city, he set it on fire and pulled down the houses and walls thereof on every side. But the women and children took they captive and possessed the cattle. Then builded they the city of David with a great wall, a great and strong wall, and with mighty towers, and made it a stronghold for them. And they put therein a sinful nation, wicked men, and fortified themselves therein.
Right. So Antiochus he basically he fell out Jakes to Hellenize Jake to push that Greek influence, Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. They stored it also with armor and victuals, and when they had gathered together the spoils of Jerusalem, they laid them up there, so that they became a sore snare, for it was a place to lie in wait against the sanctuary and an evil adversary to Israel. Thus they shed innocent blood on every side of the sanctuary and defiled it, insomuch that the inhabitants of Jerusalem fled because of them, whereupon the city was made an habitation of strangers, and became strange to those that were born in her, and her own children left her.
Man.
Her sanctuary was laid waste like a wilderness. Her feasts were turned into mourning, her Sabbath into reproach, her honor into contempt. As it had been her glory, so was her dishonor increased, and her excellency was turned into mourning. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, and everyone shall leave his laws, so that the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. Yea, many of the Israelites consented to his religion, and sacrificed unto idols, and profaned the Sabbath. For the king,
and many Jakes, consented because why? They didn't want to die.
Right.
You see, understand at this point, Jake was being overthrown. All right, by Antiochus' army, man. He had a great army. People were getting slaughtered, man. So it was either convert and take on the ways of the Greeks, or get put to death. That's why we read, just to make a quick point, going back to the article. That's why we read down here. What did it say? Bear with me. It was a point. Here we go. It says, I'm just going to read this again. It says, as time passed, more and more Jews not only spoke like Greeks, but took on their customs, attitudes, and behaviors, which on so many levels were antithetical to the values of Judaism. Estimates are that a 30 to 40% of the Jewish population became Hellenists. Most of the upper class was simply swept away by this tide of Hellenist thought. See that? So many of our people, bought in, man. They didn't have a choice, basically, Right. So let's go back. Now you understand how our people became Hellenized Jews. They became those Gentiles, man. Okay?
I got a quick precept. Well, okay. I'll finish this out, then I'll read it.
Okay, yeah, read down to 48, and that's pretty much the point. We ain't got to read the whole chapter.
Okay, kind.
Yep.
Start back at verse 39. It says, 41. In fact, what we stop at? I think it was.
We stopped at 43.
43. Okay.
Yep.
It says, yea, many of the Israelites consented to his religion, and sacrificed unto idols, and profaned the Sabbath. For the king has sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land, and forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbaths and festival days, and pollute the sanctuary and holy people.
Man.
Set up altars and groves and chapels of idols, and sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts, that they should also leave their children uncircumcised, and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation.
Right. So this was the force of Greek thought, Greek culture, Greek mindset, Greek language. You see what I'm saying? This was forced upon Jake. Okay. This is how Jake became Hellenized. That's why we read what was the title of the article again? What did it say? Hell and Hellenism.
Right.
All right.
We'll read that, the last
say
verse.
That again?
I said 49 is the last of it.
Okay, Con, you got it.
Yep. It says, to the end they might forget the law and change all the ordinances.
Yeah, there you go. That's what happened. Okay? By force.
Yep.
See that?
Yep.
Hell and Hellenism, man. Right? Now, let's you have some points you want to bring. I have the Greco-Roman influence today, or unless you have some other points you want to bring out real fast as well, because I thought you
Yeah, I
said
had a quick precept just feeding
yep.
off with that last point you had made about this is showing you that this is what happened to our people, and showing you that these Israelites that we're reading in the scriptures, this is our people today. First Maccabees 2:10. It says, "What nation have not had a part in her kingdom?" That's not the right one. And there's another one that pretty much saying, that what other nation has this happened to in so many words. You know what I'm talking
about? You talking about Daniel? This hasn't happened to any other nation but Jerusalem, or something
that one about Bashar.
I'm roughly paraphrasing, but let me get it. That's Daniel, the 9th chapter. Bear with me.
Because what we're talking about, this Hellenization, you don't see Esau heavily doing this to no other nation on earth. You don't see him doing that to Moab, to Ammon, to Ishmael, Elam, Ham. It's only Israel that he's forcefully pushing his weight on like that, man. Other nations, they are conforming, but they're conforming because Jake is the trendsetter.
Mm-hmm. This is Daniel 9 and 11. Point is in 12. Daniel 9 and 11, it says, "Yea, all Israel have transgressed thy law, even by departing, that they might not obey thy voice. Therefore, the curse is poured upon us in the oath that is written in the law of Moses, the servant of the Most High, because we have sinned against him." Verse 12. And he have confirmed his words which he spake against us, and against our judges that judged us, by bringing upon us a great evil. For under the whole heaven have not been done as have been done upon Jerusalem.
Right, and what we just read, that hasn't happened to no other people but Israel, man. And Esau has a main target, and his main target has always been Jacob. Going back to that covenant he made with himself that he was going to slay his brother, man. And so he understands that it's more than just putting Jake to death. The real slaying is cutting us off from our power.
Mm-hmm.
And so with him being able to do that, he has done more damage than just killing Jake, because he's ruined Jake for generations.
God, that's a great point. Just to backtrack real fast, because you said it's all about cutting Jake off, cutting his connection off from the Most High. That's why when we read here in First Maccabees 1 and 45, it says, "And forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbath and festival days." This was all designed to cut us off, to cut our connection off with the Most High. Mm-hmm. And it's always been that way. All right? Destroy the temple, destroy the connection with the Lord.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why, like, the precept where it talks about, I think it's in like Psalms 50. It's like, why did Esau take the Bible into himself, knowing that he doesn't follow any of it, roughly paraphrasing. And the Bible was, he used the Bible as another tool to lie to our people. He gave us the slave Bible. He took out, all the major scriptures that connect us to Yahweh Shem Shah. So that was always the end goal.
Yep.
Did you get the thing I just sent you from chat?
Let me check. Bear with me one second.
Because you can kind of add on to what we just read. It goes into a little bit more detail.
Yep. Let me pull it. Let me see if I can pull it up in the. I should be able to share it. Give me 1 second. Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Right. 1 second. 1 second.
So like going into this, should give you a understanding of that connection and why Esau goes so hard to try to push these different ways upon our people.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you see Jake doing these things, it's a true self-hatred. Because when you look back to, like, we always, amongst ourselves talking, we talk about how, back in like in the 90s, like how the women look different, how, women, the petiteness was, a more natural look, a more, a beautiful look, versus now everybody's thick. Back then everybody had different shapes. The natural look, they weren't, as bad with the weave and all that. Right. Jake, the man, had the fro, the sideburns. He wasn't really edging himself up like that. Jake had the, the masculine build. Like, you look at, like, I always look at that example, like in the NBA. You look at them Jake back there playing, like, with, from Dr. J and them to, Jordan and them niggas was in their 30s looking like how these 50 and 60-year-old people look now.
Right.
You know, it had that more rugged, masculine look. Now you look at Jake in their 50s and or their 30s now, these niggas look like fucking weirdos, man.
God, I had to send it to my notes, but I'm trying to figure out how to put it in the screen.
If you just write the prompt under what you had on the screen earlier, it should probably pull up the same thing. It might word it a little bit different, but it should still be the same.
Salaki, bro.
Mm.
Give me 1
If
second.
not, I can just read it, whatever works.
Yeah. I'm under. I want to show this because this is heavy stuff. Let me see if I can pull up the notes. So I don't want to waste too much time. But let's see. Hold on. And then he changed the format up on this damn. So how do you share? Hold on. He's always switching shit up, bro. Goodness
Yeah, so if
gracious.
anything, if you go to at the bottom of where we read the summary analogy, it should give you a space to write something else and just put in what I wrote with the examples, and it should pull it
Okay.
up.
All right. So just copy and paste it is what you're saying?
So like the open space, just give examples of what the Jews were doing back then in that open
Okay.
spot, and then it should come up.
All right. So here at the bottom right here, it says just say give examples.
Yeah, give examples of what the Jews were doing back then.
Okay. Got you.
Hopefully, it should say word for word. If not, it might change up just a little bit.
Does that look familiar?
Somewhat. It's a little different. They formatted a little different.
Okay. But you can read what you got.
Yeah,
I'm
I
gonna
can
try
read
to
it.
pull it up. I'm gonna try to pull it up though.
Kind.
But you got to go ahead and read what you got.
So yeah, I put the same prompt, and so it says during the period of Hellenization, especially from the 4th century BCE onward, under the influence of Alexander the Great and later the Seleucid Empire, many Jews adopted Greek customs, values, and practices. This led to intense internal conflict between the faithful Torah observance and assimilation into Greek culture. Here are specific examples of what the Jews were doing during that time, especially in relation to Hellenization. So it goes into the building of the gymnasium in Jerusalem. A major sign of Hellenization was the construction of a Greek-style gymnasium in Jerusalem under the high priest Jason, appointed by bribing Antiochus IV, is what I said earlier.
Huh.
It says, in the gymnasium, Jewish youth exercised nude, a Greek custom, which was seen as a shameful rejection of modesty and Hebrew identity. Some Jews underwent a surgical procedure called epispasm to reverse their circumcision so they would not be identified as Jewish in public Greek setting. And it gives us the verse, First Maccabees 1, 14, and 15. So it says, forsaking the law and the covenant, many Jews began to abandon Jewish observance, stop circumcising their children, eat unclean foods, and neglect Sabbaths and feasts. This mirrored Greek secularism and philosophical relativism, and it says logos over Torah. Some even worshiped pagan gods and offered sacrifices to idols. It says naming children with Greek names and idolizing Greek education. Many elite Jews gave their children Greek names. Examples given: Jason, Menelaus, Alexander, instead of Hebrew names. Greek philosophy and literature were prioritized over Torah study among the elites. Education shifted from learning the Torah to rhetoric, logic, and poetry taught in Greek. Idol worship in the temple under Antiochus Epiphanes IV, the temple was desecrated by setting up an altar to Zeus called the Abomination of Desolation. Some Jews not only tolerated this, but participated in the sacrifices. The holy vessels were taken and the daily sacrifices stopped. And it gives Daniel's 8, 11 through 13 and First Maccabees 41 through 50. It says division within the Jewish community. Hellenizing Jews often held political power and oppressed traditional Jews who remained faithful to the Torah. The Hasidim or pious ones resisted, which later led to the Maccabean revolt. This division was both cultural and spiritual: Torah versus Greek reason, holiness versus humanism, covenant versus compromise, which is what you're seeing that divide now. It's the same thing. It's just instead of Greek, you just put American or Western.
Yep.
It says parallel to today, just like some Jews in antiquity altered their bodies, reversing circumcision, or adopted foreign customs to avoid shame or gain acceptance, today we see similar trends. People altering their body to fit cultural norms, rejecting their natural identity to embrace socially rewarded image, and trading spiritual truth for cultural validation. So just showing the examples, that the scriptures was telling you and giving you a little bit more in depth so that you can have that visual in mind to see how Jake was, going off.
God.
And if I can read this real quick too, going into, the actual form of worship, because as we read, it was idolatry. So these different things go back to actual gods.
Yep.
All right, so let me grab that real quick.
It's not letting me pull it up, so whatever. Just keep reading. It's good information,
All right. That script said, what nation has changed their gods? That's a good precept.
Jeremiah, Jeremiah 2nd chapter. I got you. Let's pull it up. Bear with me. Yeah, man, I couldn't get them notes up there, man. That's solid stuff, man.
Kind. That's all good.
Let's pull it up. All right. So this is Jeremiah chapter 2 and verse 11. All right. Jeremiah 2 and 11, it says, have a nation changed their gods, which are yet no gods? But my people have changed their glory for that which doeth not profit.
So it says, what nation has changed their gods? Because as we read, one of the ways of this happening was Jake was worshiping all these different idols. So when I put in, I said, is plastic surgery idolatry? And so what idol does it go back to? So in summary, it said plastic surgery becomes idolatry when a person tries to recreate themselves in the image of cultural ideas rather than in the Most High's image, obsessively focuses on appearance for validation, power, or acceptance, alters their bodies to release or to please false gods of beauty, lust, vanity, or social status. It's a heart issue more than act itself. Reconstructive surgeries. Let me skip that part. So it says, what idols does it go back to? So many modern beauty ideals trace back to ancient idols and goddesses worship for their appearance, sexuality, and symbolic perfection. Here are key examples. So it says Aphrodite or Venus, goddess or beauty, a goddess of beauty, seduction, and physical perfection, worshipped in Greece and Rome. Obsession with the perfect female form, breast, face, curves, echoes her imagery. Statues of Aphrodite or Venus shape classical ideas of what women should look like. Today's cosmetic procedures, breast augmentation, lip fillers, body sculpting mirror her imagery. So when you see Kim Kardashian or all these BBLs, that's what I go back to. If you go on Google and look up Aphrodite, Nana, because this all goes back to Semiramis. That's what the body shape look like. What you see bitches destroying themselves now, the big ass, tiny ass thighs, the titties, and the thick, that all go back to that, man.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All idols, man. That's crazy. Exactly.
So another one, it says narcissist, or I think I might have said that wrong, but it says the worship of self-image. So it says from Greek myth, Narcissus fell in love with his own reflection, symbol of vanity and self-worship, plastic surgery for social media perfection, excessive selfies, or to become a living doll reflects their spirit.
Yeah. Yeah, I got something real quick too, just to add in there, because I remember seeing this a long time ago, not the rant, but it was tying the BBLs to some like a butt guy, right? And it went back to Greek. But here's some stuff I found, right? So it's called the Venus of Callipyge. It says this Roman statue, thought to be a copy of an older Greek original, literally translates to Venus of the beautiful buttocks. It depicts a woman, either an Aphrodite or a mortal, raising her robe to reveal her backside. This statue reflects an appreciation for the shapely posterior in ancient Greek and Roman culture. Come on,
See,
man.
that's exactly what we just read. Baba Kashar, go to the images, see if they got what it looked like.
Okay, let's see.
Put in Aphrodite. Yeah, they tripping.
They tripping, man. This shit crazy. Aphrodite. How you spell it? Aphrodite.
Aphdrodite.
Let's see what we got. Here we go. Greek mythology.
This is where you get the beauty standard of today from.
Yep. It's crazy, man.
But if you look at like going, because another name, you know, these guys are all, you know, the same with just different names. But if you go back to like the Egypt times, when it was like just the actual statue, it looks like how you see women of today.
But, you got it.
I think Aphrodite, that's more like later on. So let's look up. Try Asher, see that one come up. Asherah or Ishtar, one of the two. Just put statue. So while you get that, I'll read this.
Spell it again. Asherite.
Asherah.
A-A-H.
Yeah, right here. Yep. And the Etsy one. Like, go down a little bit more. Right. Go back up a little bit. It should be the second one off that road that you just passed. That's kind of like one of them that I've seen.
This one?
Go down one more row. It's the second one on the row under where you're at right now. Right.
This
here,
one.
And there's other ones that go a little bit, you know, more in detail, but that's just kind of, you see the shape.
Yeah. No doubt. And that's how they be looking too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, and this is why, like, that just came to my mind. You know, people, especially, you know, in the world, they always talk about that Israelite woman. I think her name was like Sarah Bartman.
Mm-hmm.
Esau worshipped her because her body was like naturally thick like that. So they put her on display in like museums and shit. You know, so they're showing that. But just reading real quick this breakdown for Asherah, Astarte, or Ishtar. You know, all the same god. But it says goddess of fertility, sexuality, and self-glorification, promoted the worship of female beauty, seduction, and self-exaltation. Sacred prostitution and temple rituals included appearance enhancements and makeup, sense of sensual glorification, and bodily pride. So just showing all these different things, Jake is committing idolatry whether they know it or not. This is why, you know, this place Babylon, man, is known as the harlot, mystery Babylon, the harlot and whatnot, because this has so many facets of idol worship and intertwined where it's levels. You idol worshiping on top of idol worshiping, and you don't even know it, man.
Yeah,
you know. So here it is, you worshiping yourself on Instagram, and you getting these surgery. You're just committing idolatry more and more, just putting yourself further in the hole with the Lord.
It's heavy, man. Heavy. Yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Let's wrap it up with this before we close it out. Let's wrap it up with the because I typed in the scriptures to support Greco-Roman influence over the world today, and we could just read like these three, and that'd be it.
Mm-hmm.
You know? But the point was made, man. You see, it's all this goes back to Greek and Rome influence, man. All right. So I have pulled this up, scriptures that link support Greco-Roman influence over the world today, and it says here are several scriptures that support or align with the idea of Greco-Roman, Hellenistic, and Roman influence still having power or impact over the world today, especially in the context of prophetic visions, world empires, and spiritual Babylon. Daniel 2:31, it says through 45, the statue dream world empires, Daniel 2:39, And after thee shall arise another kingdom inferior to thee, in the third kingdom of brass, which shall bear rule over the earth. And the fourth kingdom shall be as strong as iron. It says the kingdom of brass represents the Greek Hellenistic Empire under Alexander the Great. The fourth kingdom of iron represents Rome. These two empires laid the philosophical, political, legal, and cultural foundations that still influence Western civilization today. Law, democracy, education, etc. Exactly, man. You know, another one. It says, we'll just read these two. Daniel 76, four beast vision. Daniel 76. After this, I beheld lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of its four wings of a fowl, and dominion was given to it. Daniel 7:7. Behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly. Explanation: the leopard with wings, the Greek Empire, swift conquest by Alexander. The fourth beast, Rome, more terrible and dominant than others. It says these beasts have prophetic parallels with systems that continue to rule and reshape the world through Greco-Roman ideology. Right?
Damn.
So it's too much, man. Okay, but the bottom line is that everything you see that has to do with these enhancements, the surgeries, the BBLs, and all the madness that you see that's going on in society, it all goes back to Greek and Rome, the Edomites, man. The Edomite influence over the planet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that standard of beauty or whatnot, man. You know? So that's pretty much the point, man. Unless you want to add anything else. You know, I didn't want to rant, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that was pretty much it.
That's it, man. So hey, I pray we went all over the place, but nevertheless, you know, the lesson was edifying to the hopeful elect, man. So right. It just shows you that hey, the Edomite is in power, ruling, and he's the one that's influenced the minds of the people of the world, man.
That's right.
So that's it, man. So we'll leave it there. Hey, pray this lesson was edifying. We close out by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh. Hey, shalom to the hopeful elect. Double honors to the elders and apostles, great millstone who taught us his truth. Shalom.
Shalom.
Yes, sir.